Welcome to Tag Along Discussion. I am your host, Bilal Khan, and we have here with us one of our latest additions to the AlMaghrib roster and lineup, Majed Mahmoud.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. For those of you who don't know, Majed is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in Islamic Studies, studying Islamic law from Medina International University in Malaysia. Interestingly enough, he's also a graduate of AlMaghrib Institute and currently also works professionally as a mechanical engineer in the Detroit area, keeping our automotive industry alive here in the United States. So, Majed, welcome to the show. Now, the whole objective of this show and for our viewers is to understand and get to know the latest addition to our lineup. What introduced you to AlMaghrib Institute initially as a student, considering you're a graduate? So, tell us that story.
So, first of all, Jazakumullah khairan for, hosting me in your show. And I feel very honored and humbled to be part of, the lineup of instructors. And I feel very grateful to be teaching a wonderful set of students, inshallah, in the future.
Amen.
In terms of my introduction to AlMaghrib, my first class was in November 2007.
Nice. Okay.
It was a class by Sheikh Riyadh titled A Heart Serene. Wonderful class. I recommend anybody who ever, has this class coming over his city to attend it. Initially, to be very frank and honest,
really enjoyed that Jannah hug?
Jannah, I love this class was wonderful. We cried like little children, all of us. Wonderful. With this class, to be very honest with you, and AlMaghrib overall, I was not a fan of AlMaghrib. It might sound a little awkward because, initially back in the day, when you would pay money to attend religious classes, it was like, what are you talking about?
Even by 2007, that was still a stigma among some people?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So someone told me, bro, it's worth it. And I used to work on weekends in restaurants. So and anytime I get a chance to work, I'd work, do my high school thing, and then at weekends grab as much money as I can through my jobs here and there. And then he's like, it's worth it. So I said, you know what? It was like probably the first time I ever take a weekend off from work. Ever.
Okay.
Even Eid, I used to go to work. So then I said, okay, you know what? I took that weekend off, attend A Heart Serene. And from there, I've never missed a class except once. Until November 2015. One class I missed was that in between because I had like work and stuff, but I was actually locally there.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Alhamdulillah, it was just an honor. And one of the things, like, actually there are some classes that I've taken 3 times.
Okay.
Like Divine Link, for example.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that's the Salah class.
Salah class.
If there's any class you're going to take multiple times,
absolutely. But what about this one? Check this out. I took Torchbearers 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I think about AlMaghrib that I really love, and I'll keep attending classes so long as they're offered around.
Gotcha.
Is the aspect of the atmosphere and environment.
Okay.
I love to go there, be around brothers and sisters, and just to get the vibe, the spirituality. You appreciate that. I focus actually, in addition to the content, is from the manners of the instructor. I pay a little more detail, subhanAllah, just to appreciate that. Alhamdulillah, it's an honor. So I began November 2007, ended November 2015. But I just took a class just recently as well, alhamdulillah. So
out of all the classes, all right, so I take it you've taken Heart Serene, which is your first class.
Yeah.
Many times people, as a bias, tend to like their first class the most.
Very true.
And then you've taken Torchbearers 3 times, you get Divine Link 3 times. But out of all of the classes, which one would you say has left the most lasting impact on you?
The strongest impact was that first class.
Okay.
Heart Serene. One of the classes that really affected me with my relationship with my mother, for example, it was a class by Sheikh Muhammad Faqih titled Rules of Engagement.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was like really, influenced me with my parents.
I remember one of the assignments where the whole idea was to ask your parents for forgiveness. Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Along these lines. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and he was firm. He's like, you know what? He's looking forward that this second weekend, I remember it was second weekend about parents, is that bi'idhnillah, hopefully this weekend will change the way you treat your parents. And Allah is my witness. It had a huge impact.
Yeah. I remember there's a lot of people that actually came back, moving stories of them having actually expressed whatever they might have wanted to express to their parents, because some people just don't talk to their parents, much less express how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's I gotta say, Rules of Engagement was definitely one of those classes on character and manners that was a little bit different, because for me personally, up until when I took Rules of Engagement, which was 2000, I think it was 2005, and up until that point, we'd taken a history class, a tafsir class, a fiqh class, and then it's like, all right, here's a class on manners,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm like, wait, what do you mean? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it just made total sense
Alhamdulillah.
after you take the class, because now it's all of a sudden your relationship with Allah, your relationship with people, relationship with yourself. So that was definitely important. At what point were you like, you know what? I can actually go through the entire curriculum.
I see. This whole focus about graduating from AlMaghrib didn't take place until several years actually from my first class that I've taken. I never knew much about like the whole diploma or degree or bachelor's that they offer. But alhamdulillah, like just I've taken several classes. Then I heard like an announcement, like, you know what, this seminar that you take goes towards completing your requirements to graduate. I'm like, graduate? Sure, no. Nice, it's wonderful. But I never really saw it from the beginning.
Okay.
But alhamdulillah, yani, so even though I graduated,
Yeah.
I'm still not taking classes.
So the graduation is more or less a formality for you.
Yeah, it's a little fun.
But it's just like, you know what,
Alhamdulillah.
as long as they keep offering good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's good. You know, also like when there's a goal,
Yeah.
it's also like a nice push. You know, actually, I traveled when I was living in Windsor, Canada. I would travel to Toronto for classes. I would travel to Columbus, Ohio.
Gotcha.
We went to Chicago. I traveled to Orlando for a Sira class by Sheikh Al-Bari Yahya one time.
What was the furthest you traveled for a class?
The furthest, I would imagine, as of now that you're asking me, I'll think Orlando, Florida.
Now, when you travel, right, there's certain memories that stick with you as opposed to taking something locally, right? So what was the lasting memory from that experience?
From that experience is how Sheikh Al-Bari was kind of like freaked out because he saw me in Orlando and he saw me in Toronto and he saw me in Dearborn, he saw me in Windsor, and he's like, are you stalking me? You know what I mean? So I'm like, Sheikh, no, I really appreciate the way you teach and so on. Mashallah, very genuine man, wonderful man.
Was it the same class in all these locations, or was it
different?
Okay.
Yeah, because that class specifically, what happened when I first took my first Al-Maghrib class, it was Tazkiyah, right? It was a heart serene. Before that, the Shepherd's Path came, which is a Sirah, which I didn't take. It was by Sheikh Muhammad Sharif.
Okay.
So this means for me to get the Sirah again, God knows how many years. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not waiting. So like, when's the next class coming up? Orlando? Let's go for it.
Now, I know that you're a mechanical engineer, work in the automotive industry.
Yes.
Is that something you set out to do? Is that something your parents like, no, you're going to become an automotive engineer? Or how did that work?
The way I pursued engineering degrees is I used to love math.
Okay.
And I used to dislike biology.
Gotcha.
So that's how from a simple angle. So I'm like, you know what? Biology is not my thing. I don't like it. So what's the other
out the window?
Yeah. So what's the other thing? Engineering. Okay, let's go for it. Why mechanical, not electrical or civil? It's because like I like cars. Like a very basic, if you can tell, thought process. But eventually got into it. You know, dwelled, and then by fourth year, you can specialize. So I specialize in automotive.
Gotcha.
And that's what I've been doing for the past 5-6 years.
Now, what is it that you have enjoyed most within your career as an engineer?
You want honest truth?
Yeah, honest truth.
I'm very grateful to Allah that He allowed me to go to school, do my bachelor. But I struggle when it comes to the things I enjoyed, because I enjoyed more teaching.
Okay.
I enjoyed more attending Al-Maghrib classes. I enjoyed helping. I enjoyed interaction. But engineering itself is more like isolated, or a bit individualistic.
Okay.
Because you're just focused with the math problem, you solve it. Like, everybody move away from me. You know what I mean? It's just like very.
Okay. So your career kind of leaves you desiring social interaction.
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because with engineering, obviously it depends on the job and occupation. But many of the engineers, we do have a lot of meetings, but a lot of our work also is just very individual based.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I can tell you something I really appreciate out of engineering is how it kind of helps you be focused, detailed, and like being like putting excellence in your work.
Okay.
Because engineering is,
it's very detail oriented.
Oh, it's very detailed, and you'll be held
very
accountable.
Precise.
Oh yeah, signature from you.
Yeah.
On a part to be approved, something goes wrong.
Okay.
You're
that's
done.
all on you.
You're done. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So alhamdulillah.
The thought process that has been ingrained in you through your secular education, how do you see that being applied in your Islamic studies?
Actually, many people who are in the corporate world, they kind of sense it from the way I lecture. Like, bro, I can tell you're an engineer. Okay. It's just because we tend to be a little bit structured. Okay. You know what I mean? No, I'm talking from a structure aspect, a detailed. I want a reference for this. I know what I mean. Okay. I want if you wish to say, when I go from one point to another point, I don't want to be random. So you tend to be like, you build a structure.
Okay.
So
Very
inshallah,
methodical.
yes. So inshallah, hopefully things work out. When the class comes up, my first class,
Yeah.
you feel that sense. It's very organized. You can see where we're coming from, and it's not. You won't find a little bit of randomness. Inshallah.
You're an engineer. You work in corporate America. You're studying Islam. You're seeking Islamic studies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
What's something about you that you could share with us that you haven't shared on a public sphere before?
Thinking about hobby-wise and so on, I really love jet skiing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I ever get an opportunity to jet ski, even if it doesn't sound realistic, or you only have an hour, doesn't matter. Just put me there for 20 minutes.
Gotcha.
Jet skiing is like a moment in the ocean.
So, folks, if you're ever hosting Majed and you got a jet ski area, you know exactly what to do.
I even looked up jet skis here in Houston,
Gotcha.
But I know we have a limited time, but alhamdulillah, we'll see.
If you're on a jet ski, you don't have to, aren't you running the risk of, big waves capsizing you and all?
They tell you, for example, one time where was I jet skiing? Fort Lauderdale area.
Okay.
So when I was jet skiing, the instructor said, okay, you know what? When you jet ski, how far you can go is how clear is the sign of the hotel. So they know the brand of the hotel.
Oh, okay.
So there's a hotel right by the beach. He's like, as long as you can see the sign, you're there. You're good.
Gotcha.
But the moment you lose sight, that means it's a little dangerous.
Did you always consider, you know what, I want to jet ski one day? Or was it something that somebody, let's go jet skiing? Really?
No, actually, I was a little bit scared, but overall, I used to love sports.
Okay.
Even in high school, maybe that's something I never shared before, but I was very into sports, big time.
What kind of sports did you play?
For example, I used to play badminton.
Okay.
So I was an MVP at badminton. I used to play tennis, so also MVP at that time. Not that I'm too good. It's just that
I'm imagining really long socks.
Yeah. White socks too.
Yeah, okay. Really, really long white socks.
Alhamdulillah, I used to also play soccer.
Okay.
Or football for the brothers and sisters in the UK.
Everywhere else.
So alhamdulillah, I used to play as a goalkeeper.
When I was a kid, I'm talking elementary school. So my dad, he was like, Bilal, you're getting out of shape. I want you to run. So he put me in soccer. Defiantly, I became goalie.
That's a good one.
And that's how I was like,
goalie.
Can't make me run.
That's a good one.
I mean, when you hear sports, right? You say sports in high school, you're thinking basketball, football, soccer, right?
That's why I was the MVP, because there's no one really to compete with. Right? MVP,
you're badminton, tennis. Yeah. I'm like White
ping
Sox.
Ping pong too.
Ping pong, okay, great.
Bowling team. You're like, what?
What would you advise your decade younger former self in regards to knowing where you are now? Is there something that you would tell your decade old former self?
Reading books, because at a young age, many people do not want to read, right? And we're all this Vine generation. Give me a 6-second video and I'm good to go. A khatira for 15 seconds, reminder to change my life on Instagram. So reading a book is a mission. And learning from old, experienced people. Just asking them for advice and so on. So these two things I would definitely to focus and advise our brothers and sisters to appreciate.
In the last year, what would you say has been the most impactful book you read for yourself?
It's the book that I'm preparing for the AlMaghrib class.
Okay.
Al-Akhlaq al-Islamiyya wa Ususuha, which is the manners, the Islamic mannerism.
Okay.
And its concepts and its foundations.
Now, what's special about this book? What really hit it home for you?
Because the scholar who prepared it, Sheikh al-Maydani, he approached it in a way that he encompassed all different resources that talk about manners.
Okay.
So it's not only explicitly from an Islamic perspective, even though it's an Islamic concept and base.
Yeah.
But he says, I've read other stuff, just it gives us a feel. And so on. But he said, I'll approach this book without any biasness. So there's no bias in that book. He just goes there and looking at the text and so on. So it's a very wonderful book, mashallah.
What's a non-religious book that has left you that was very insightful?
Many of the books that I read from a non-religious perspective
are engineering?
And not engineering, no. Actually, I don't read much engineering. It's actually books recommended by Sheikh Muhammad al-Sharif.
Okay.
So, mashallah, as perhaps you know, and maybe our viewers, our guests, and in case you did not know, Sheikh Muhammad al-Sharif reads a lot of books, mashallah. And then sometimes he says, you know what, among the best 50, 100, whatever number of books he read, I recommend these.
Mhm.
So you get the best of the best, and that's my strategy. So I'm like, okay, I'll get that book and that book. So,
Gotcha.
for example, there was a book which I found really interesting, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a pretty well-known book. So
I
that
mean,
was
well, that's his first book in his entire series. I think his first book actually has value. One of the more insightful things, at least when I first read it,
Mhm.
again, it was his recommendation, was instead of asking, like, oh, this is too expensive, what do I have to do to afford it?
Yeah, yeah.
Which
yeah.
is, just kind of gets your mind thinking, like, all right, what can I do? It's
Wonderful.
empowering process. Who's your favorite AlMaghrib instructor?
Oof. Fitna. Hashtag fitna. Favorite AlMaghrib instructor?
Well, maybe favorite is not the appropriate word. Maybe which AlMaghrib instructor do you feel that you have benefited from the most?
See, sometimes I would benefit. See, when a sheikh would seek to benefit us,
Mhm.
he's very influenced by the content that he's teaching.
True.
So when I say the sheikh did benefit me, yes, it's due to that specific content. So every sheikh, even when you ask a question about the favorite sheikh, very honestly, every one of them has something really special about them.
Okay.
Really special. And that's one of the benefits of attending several amount of classes. I told you, I might take a class multiple times.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same exact class, but it may be taught by someone else.
Right.
So
No,
Divine Link, for example,
yeah.
it was taught by Sheikh Khasr Birjaz.
Yeah.
I took it with him. And it was taught by Sheikh Abu Isa. Took it with him.
Right.
And those who know both, they're
very different instructors.
very different, but they're both wonderful in the way they approach things. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the benefits of having such a diverse roster and lineup of instructors is that, I mean, realistically speaking, no instructor is going to be perfect for everybody.
Yes.
Right? There's going to be people. There's going to be some people who is like, yeah, I love every instructor, right? Which is very few.
Mm-hmm.
But most people are going to be like, you know what? I like the academic approach of Yasser Qadhi, or I like the heartfelt approach of Yasmin Majed, or I like the no nonsense approach of Abu Isa, or I like the humorous approach of Sheikh Abdul Bari. Right, so it's like different people have different things that they enjoy and benefit from.
Absolutely.
So I think one of the interesting things about you, having gotten to know you, is the fact that you're one of the few instructors that actually has come from a corporate background. Right, so your breadth of experience relating to the real world, especially when it comes to the art of manners, which is what you're going to be your first class, and how that also is very much related to life as a young professional, and working a corporate setup, and all the different things that might come up that a lot of the other instructors don't face on a daily basis. So I think that's going to be something that a lot of people see from you.
Hopefully,
And inshallah, and be able to benefit. At least that would be my hope. I think that's going to be a nice addition to the roster. So, folks, for those of you who have stuck along, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, and appreciate you putting this together.
Yeah, I mean, do come out for his first class, Art of Manners. It's all about akhlaq. It's all about character. Where can we find you on YouTube? Not even YouTube, but just on social in general. What do we look for?
Just type in my first and last name,
Majed Mahmoud.
then you'll find
so type in Majed Mahmoud Facebook, Majed Mahmoud Twitter,
Majed
Mahmoud YouTube, right?
YouTube, yeah.
And you'll be able to find them.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll see you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum.